If you've listened to this podcast for more than 5 minutes, you already know my nervous system lives on the edge. That's why I love Rise. Between being a mom, a teacher, and a full time researcher of all things sinister and spooky, I need energy that doesn't come with anxiety. My therapist says I have plenty of that already, which is why I love to start my day with Rise. Rise is a mushroom coffee blend that gives me focus without the jitters, and it actually helps me quiet my ADHD brain. It lifts my brain fog and somehow even made my gut health way better. We love a multitasking beverage. I usually drink it in the morning before I sit down to research or record, and it helps me stay clear headed instead of wired. I like to add a little cacao powder, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and of course, my favorite creamer. Then suddenly, it's a delightful little cup of emotional stability. Rise isn't just coffee, it's gut health and nutrition that your body actually craves. With lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, shiitake, and turkey tail, you'll be saying, "Holy shiitake, I can actually focus," because these mushrooms help maintain focus throughout the day. They help maintain your stress levels, and they even boost immunity while clearing up that pesky brain fog. So if you're trying to kick your caffeine habit or you just want something that's genuinely better for your nervous system, head to the link in the show notes and use my code Suspects and Spirits Podcast 15 to get 15% off your first purchase. What have you got to lose? Again, that's Suspects and Spirits Podcast 15 to get 15% off your first purchase. Your lizard brain will thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Suspects and Spirits, and I'm your host, Taylor Seraphin. Welcome back, Gooligans. We are going to get spooky ooky today. I'm actually so excited for this episode because I live for this stuff. If you're new here, hello, welcome. Welcome to my little show where we dive into true crime, paranormal encounters, urban legends, and just all the weird stuff that makes your brain tingle with creepy, crawly excitement. I hope you're all staying safe and doing well. I do have a question. What are we all reading right now? What books are you guys reading? And what are we watching? You guys know I love a good binge-worthy TV show, and I finally got around to watching Scarpetta. Oh my God, you guys, it is so fucking good. I read the Patricia Cornwell books back in the day, and I'm so happy with the way this show has turned out. But I mean, obviously, with a cast like that, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Jamie Lee Curtis, adore her. Adore her. I will watch her in anything. She cracks me up. And then, of course, there's Nicole Kidman, who are we kidding? There is no one better to play Kay Scarpetta. I'll fight you. I'll fight you over that. I'll die on that hill. And Jamie Lee playing Dorothy is just like, oh my God. Everyone is cast so well. It's incredible. Benton's character, love both of them in the past and the present. They did such a good job casting everybody. If you're into true crime shows and you don't know about the Scarpetta series by Patricia Cornwell, go read them. Go read them right now. Postmortem was like one of my favorites. Check out the show. It's definitely very much a graphic true crime show, so don't watch it like around your kids. So I'm very, very happy with it. Glad I finally had some time to enjoy it. Anyways, let me know what you guys are binging lately. I have a lot of travel coming up and would love to binge some new shows on my flights or movies. If you have movies, would love that too. Now, let's get into it's not a story. It's just a topic because I have been looking forward to this. I really have. Today, we are talking about something that I feel like everyone did as a kid, especially millennials. We're talking about cursed games, you guys. You know the ones: Bloody Mary, light as a feather, stiff as a board, concentration. So those are the kind of games we're talking about today. Now, before we get started, I do just want to say, please do not try any of these games because I do not need an email next week that says, "Hey, Taylor, I summoned a shadow entity and now it lives in my guest bathroom." I'm a podcaster, not an exorcist. I have no credentials, can't help you. So don't play these because they're terrifying. They will ruin your life. You will be cursed. It's bad news bears all around. But you can turn down the lights, grab your favorite emotional support beverage, and let's talk about some of the most infamous curse games to ever exist. I mean, there's probably others, but I'm only telling you about 5 of them today. The first one on our list is infamous and very, very spooky. If you love Sam and Colby and have been a fan of theirs for a while, you might actually have seen this game being played. You may remember them playing this back in the day. Number 1 on our list is the Midnight Game. So, supposedly, allegedly, this is based on an old pagan ritual used to punish lawbreakers. This game challenges you to summon the Midnight Man into your home and evade him for about 3 hours if you are successful in summoning him. When it comes to spooky games that will ruin your life and are meant to be played in a group, the consensus is that this is the scariest, most intensely cursed, high stakes game you could ever play. The Midnight Game turns your entire house into an active, terrifying survival arena where you are being actively hunted, basically. Think like Hunger Games, but haunted as fuck, and you don't get sponsors. And it is designed to let a malevolent entity terrify the players into submission. How fun, right? So fun. So, how do you play? Well, like any game, you have to set it up. This game requires a group of people, and the setup itself is designed to completely unnerve you before the game even starts. So, first thing you're going to need is your own blood. Yep, we're just starting off strong. This is one of those, but don't worry, it's not that weird. But it is required for the blood pact. So, at exactly 11:59 p.m., every player has to write their full name on a slip of paper, and then you must prick your finger and put a single drop of your own blood on the paper, letting it soak in. Step 2 is the invitation, because like most entities, you have to invite it in. So after your little blood pact, all the lights in the house must be turned off. Every single one. Everyone then stands in front of a wooden door, has to be wooden. You then place your blood-stained paper on the floor, light a candle, so make sure you have one of those on hand, and then place it on top of the paper in front of that door. Step 3 for this setup is the knocking. At precisely 12 a.m., you must knock on the wooden door exactly 22 times. The 22nd knock must happen exactly as the clock strikes midnight. I know, it's very stressful. Lots to do, very little time. One reason why I will not be playing this game, simply just too stressful to start. Because you have to do all of that in like 1 minute. That's a lot of pressure. But the final step in the setup, step 4, is letting him in. So after that 20-second knock, you then have to open that door, blow out your candle, then close the door and immediately relight your candle. So open door, blow out candle, close the door, light your candle. Okay, super fast. And now you have just invited the Midnight Man into your home. And again, this is just the setup, friends. We're just getting started because now the nightmare really begins. The actual gameplay, which is like active survival, requires a few things, okay? So from 12:01 a.m. until exactly 3:33 a.m., you and your friends must constantly walk through the pitch black house that you are in. You cannot stand still, you cannot turn on any lights. You have to keep moving, and your only protection is that single candle in your hand. That's it. It has to stay lit because the Midnight Man's goal is to catch you. And if he gets close, you will experience sudden extreme drops in temperature, a low pitched whispering sound, which I really hate, or a shadowy figure in your peripheral vision. But it's very important that you do not look at him. Now, if he catches you, he will subject you to a hallucination of your worst, most agonizing fears, or supposedly rip your organs out one by one. It escalates rather quickly. So, not great. Why? I don't like that. But that's also why there are panic rules in case one were to panic, as I would. And the reason there are panic rules is because people tend to freak the fuck out if their candle goes out. And that is because if your candle goes out, that means he, the Midnight Man, is within your immediate vicinity. So if your candle goes out, what do? What are the panic rules? The rules are you have 10 seconds to relight your candle. If you cannot relight it in 10 seconds, you must immediately drop to the floor and surround yourself with a perfect circle of salt. So maybe keep some of that in your pocket. You must then stay inside that circle of salt until 3:33 a.m. You gotta Allison and Hocus Pocus that shit. You do a good old circle and you stay there. And if you step out or if your circle is broken, you lose. And the Midnight Man will find you. Now, unlike other spooky games where you sit in a circle and hold hands and chant stuff, the Midnight game really forces your group to split up and wander a dark house alone or in panicked pairs. So if someone's candle goes out in a distant room, you'll hear their frantic screaming in the dark, most likely. But rushing to help them risks blowing your own candle out. Because if you're running with a candle, what's going to happen? Science happens and it goes out. It creates a very, very scary environment of absolute vulnerability and sensory deprivation, which is another reason why I probably would not play this game. But if you do everything right, then as the clock strikes 3:33 a.m., the game ends and the Midnight Man leaves and you're safe. You're good. So just, a fun little spooky game that I will not be playing. But I will happily watch people play it on YouTube. Only way I would ever play this game is if somehow Sam and Colby did it again and we magically became friends and they made me do it. I would do it for the fans. I would. I also just so happen to always have salt on me for electrolytes and also for demons. So maybe I'd be all right. I am dying to know if any of you guys have ever played this game. If so, what was your experience? And is it possible to maybe trick the Midnight Man and just like become homies? Or is he like always an asshole? I need to know. Let me know. All right. Next on our list, our next game is called Red Door, Yellow Door. And I had actually never heard of this one. So if anyone has played this, also please tell me. In fact, if you've played any of these at any point in your life, just DM me. I'm not going to say it after every game. Just tell me, okay? Write in your experience. If you want me to share it on Booze Clues, I will. I'd love to hear about it. So, this game, Red Door, Yellow Door, is also known as Doors of the Mind or Black Door, White Door. This one is a psychological trance game that became a massive sleepover phenomena and TikTok trend that clearly I was not aware of. I guess I was not invited. But unlike the Midnight Game, which relies on walking around a physical house, this game takes place entirely inside of the player's own mind. It's a very eerie blend of group hypnosis, sensory deprivation, once again, and guided visualization. Now, normally I love a guided visualization. I love to meditate, but that's not exactly uh, this game. So here's how it works and why it completely paralyzes people with fear. This game requires at least two people, the guide and the subject. And then, of course, there's an audience because why not? So, first step one is to get into position. Assume the position. The subject lies down on the floor, placing their head in the guide's lap, and the rest of the group sits in a quiet circle around them. Step two is when you actually enter the trance. So, the subject closes their eyes and then raises their hands in the air, and the guide begins massaging the subject's temples in a slow circular motion while chanting over and over, red door, yellow door, any other color door. Now, I'm going to be very real with you. Right now, this sounds great. Nice little temple massage, meditative state. I'm all for it. Just that part though, because next is where things get weird. So the chant for step 3 in this setup is during your massage session, the rest of the group joins in chanting the phrase in a very low rhythmic tone. So now everybody is saying red door, yellow door, any other color door, red door, yellow door, any other color door. And this is where it begins to feel a little culty and scary, right? Sounds like some midsummer shit. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be down for that. The final step, though, is called the drop. And this is essentially when the subject slips into a relaxed meditative state and their arms will naturally get heavy and just drop to the floor. Because remember, their arms have been up this whole time. So when their arms drop, this is the signal that they have successfully entered the quote, mental mansion. And so the game begins. Once the subject is in this state, They will then open their eyes while inside the trance. So you might not see their eyes open, but they can see everything around them in this state that they're in. They will find themselves standing in a long, infinite hallway filled with doors of various colors, shapes, and textures. The guide then acts as their anchor to the real world, asking questions to navigate them through their own subconscious. They may ask things like, "What do you see? Describe the door in front of you. Open it and tell me what's inside," because it's the guide's job to get them through whatever the fuck this place is and then back home. So the subject then describes everything they see aloud to, the audience and their guide in real time. The room that they're in might contain mundane childhood memories, bizarre dreamscapes, or some deeply unsettling manifestations of their own fears. And right now you might be saying, "Well, this doesn't sound too bad." Sort of like being hypnotized. But oh friend, it gets bad. So, what makes this game transition from a harmless meditation into a cursed ritual are the terrifying psychological rules that the guide must strictly enforce to keep the subject safe. Yes, that's right. If you are the subject, you better trust your guide with your actual life because it is up to them to keep you from getting trapped in this insidious realm. The further, if you will. And I say that because, well, the movie, if you've ever seen Insidious, you know what I'm talking about. So this guide has to help you get out. And if the subject encounters any of the following, the guide must wake them up immediately. So the first thing the subject might see is the old man. If the subject enters a room and sees an old man standing there, they must not talk to him. Do not talk at him. Don't look him in the eye. Don't let him approach you. Nothing. Because the lore says that he is a malevolent entity trying to trap you there. And if you don't let the guide know what you see, you will be in danger of him approaching you and potentially getting stuck. The second thing the subject might see, because that's not bad enough, is the room of clocks. If the subject opens a door and a room is entirely filled with clocks, the subject must back out immediately. That is because clocks symbolize being trapped in time. And if you stay too long, you supposedly won't be able to wake up. So that one is both on you, the subject, to remember this and also to tell your guide. And it's on your guide to remind you to get the fuck out of there. So see, this is not fun. This does not sound fun to me. And there's more. So the third thing the subject might see is the shadow figure. And this could happen at any time. You don't even have to be in a room. It could just happen. If you encounter a faceless, dark, or just looming figure, you have to avoid it at all costs. Otherwise, you risk getting stuck. So if this happens, tell your guide you're not having a great time and they will wake you up. Now, the final thing the subject may experience, and to me this is the scariest part, is the trapped state. And that's exactly what it sounds like. So if the subject feels a sense of immense dread at any time, or if a door locks behind them and they can't escape the room, the guide has to violently shake them awake, or they will be stuck forever. Okay, forever. So when I say you got to trust your guide here, I mean that needs to be your person. Okay, the person you trust with everything. Because, bitch, if you let me get stuck in there, I will haunt your ass forever. Don't you dare. That is so rude. And what's even more interesting about this game is that the rooms and the doors, they're different for everyone because this is like horror that's tailor-made for you specifically. In a typical scary game, you're afraid of like an external ghost, Bloody Mary or something. In Red Door, Yellow Door, your own subconscious is the monster because the trance unlocks your deepest, most buried anxieties. The game builds a horror movie specifically designed to terrify you in particular. For example, if you are secretly afraid of abandonment, then the doors will lead to an empty, rotting room. If you're afraid of losing control, you'll find yourself locked in and you will have to ask for help. And then, there's of course the whole claustrophobia of the mind because when you play, you're completely vulnerable. You are relying entirely on the guide to pull you back to reality. Players who've done it report a terrifying sensation of sleep paralysis, almost like while you're awake. They can feel the dread in their chest, but because their brain is so deeply immersed in the visualization, it takes a massive amount of willpower to force their physical eyes open, which I don't like that. Don't count me in on that, okay? And what really freaks out people who play this game, like groups specifically, is the consistency of the hallucinations. So, countless people who have never met or read about each other's experiences all report seeing the same exact things as far as what the subject could encounter that would keep them stuck. So, a sinister old man in a suit standing in the corner of a room. A lot of people have seen that. Or they experience that sudden, overwhelming urge that if they go down a certain staircase, that they're going to die. So, just another fun, spooky sleepover game. I was all in once I heard about the temple massage. I was like, well, this sounds great, actually. But knowing me, I'd fall asleep. I wouldn't even enter a trance like state. I'd just be snoozing. Have any of you guys ever been hypnotized by chance? Or do you guys remember trying to hypnotize your friends? Or is that just me? We used to do it all the time at like in elementary school and middle school too. I'm not gonna lie. But it was more like sleepovers and stuff in middle school. In elementary school, we straight up did it in the classroom or a recess. I'd be like, give me your locket. I'm gonna try to hypnotize you. As far as I know, it never worked, but I've also never said the code word, so they could still be hypnotized. I know it's not just me and my friends who did that shit. I know you guys did it too. Don't lie. Our next terrifying game is pretty famous, so I'm sure you know this one. But do you know the rules? And could you survive this game? Is the question. Number 3 today is the elevator game. Yes, I had to include it. I had to. So, this is also known as Elevator to Another World. It is widely considered one of the most chilling urban legends to ever exist, and it has led to a lot of online speculation, which we will get into after I explain the game. But I'm sure you already know what's coming. So, originating on Japanese and South Korean online message boards like 2chan around 2008, this game mutated into a global, like, creepy pasta phenomenon. Unlike games played in dark basements, this is a solo urban ritual that transforms a mundane piece of modern technology into a portal to a parallel dimension. This one I might play. But only with the right people who will, like, take it seriously, wait for me outside, and then maybe check that I didn't die. I don't know. TBD, to be continued, to be determined, I don't know. But let's explain how to play it because a lot of people have heard about this game, but they don't know the steps to it. So to play, you must be entirely alone in a building that is at least 10 stories high with a fully functioning elevator. You cannot have anyone accompany you. So you can't do this in pairs. You have to be by yourself. And if a regular like building resident, steps into the elevator at any point, then the ritual is broken and you have to leave. So if you try this while ghost hunting somewhere with, an elevator, your group needs to wait outside the building for you and just, I guess, hope that you don't get stuck. I don't know what to tell you. That's why I'm on the fence. So to start this game, you must press the four buttons. That's not a word. The floor buttons. Words are hard, you guys. So to start the game, you must press the floor buttons in a very specific, rigid sequence without getting off. So listen carefully, okay? First things first, you board on the first floor. Then you go to the fourth floor. Next, you go down to the second floor. Then you go back up to the sixth floor. Following that, you go back down to the second floor and then go up to the 10th floor. And finally, you go down to the fifth floor. All of this without getting out. And remember, if anyone enters the elevator, the ritual is broken. You must leave and maybe try again another time. But if you happen to do all of this without someone interrupting the ritual, then you will reach the fifth floor and the doors will open. And that is when a mysterious woman will enter the elevator. But there is one very, very important rule, the golden rule. Not be nice to her and she'll be nice to you. Unfortunately, she does not follow that rule. No, this rule is that you must not look at her. You must not speak to her. You must ignore her entirely, kind of like the old man in Red Door, Yellow Door. Because as the legend states, this woman, she is not human. She is an entity and she's evil. And if you acknowledge her, you make eye contact or you answer her if she speaks to you, she will supposedly keep you, but not in a cute Casper way. She will drag you away to hell or whatever realm she lives in because you are potentially allowing yourself to enter a liminal space when you play the elevator game. Now, during this time that this weird lady has entered the elevator and you're trying to ignore her, you're on the 5th floor. While the woman is in that tiny little box with you, you must press the button for the 1st floor. If the elevator goes down to the 1st floor, the ritual failed. If that happens, you get out, you don't look back, you don't stop, you just go. And then maybe sage yourself. But if the ritual worked, then the elevator will defy your button press and begin ascending to the 10th floor. And as you pass the 9th floor, this is your absolute last chance to abort the mission by hitting any other button. Because once you hit the 10th floor and those doors open, you then step out into the other world. Now, me personally, I don't want to know what that world is like. I'm perfectly okay knowing that my own current world is a dumpster fire. So I probably won't be playing this anytime soon. But I do know a lot of people have played it because, as we all know, this game became even more famous in recent years, and that is because of the Elisa Lam connection. This podcast is sponsored by Dubby Energy Drinks. You guys, I have made a lot of questionable decisions in my life, but this is not one of them. Dubby is the best. If you've been searching for a clean alternative to an energy drink, look no further. Dubby is a clean energy drink mixture that's designed to help you feel productive without that nasty crash afterward. It's sugar-free, has no artificial dyes, no nasty fillers, and it's packed with vitamins, amino acids, and all the good stuff that we need to really help with focus. They also use 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving, which for me is the sweet spot where I feel awake and productive, but not like I just chewed on a power line and I'm about to astral project against my will. And they have so many flavors, guys. They have unique ones like Japanese yuzu, and they even have a s'mores flavor. I also really love that it comes in tubs, so I can just mix it whenever I need it. And it feels a lot smoother and cleaner than traditional energy drinks. My life really loves the element of surprise, and Dubby has been coming through for me to get me through the day. So if you're like me and you've tried everything, but you keep getting disappointed, Dubby is here to save the day. Head on over to dubby.gg and use my code SUSPECTS10 to save some money and also save your nervous system. That's code SUSPECTS10 at dubby.gg. Link is in the show notes to get started. True Crime Coven, Gooligans, before we get back into this case, I need to talk to you about something equally as addictive as true crime, but way less illegal. And that is Deutsch cookie dough. And no, I'm not talking about sneaking bites and wondering if you're about to contract salmonella. This is 100% safe, edible cookie dough. Eat the whole container. I support you. I support snacks of all kinds. But this is the snack of all snacks. And you guys know me, I love food. Deutsch is like my own little personal tub of therapy. Having a bad day? Have some Deutsch. Feeling a little sad? Have some Deutsch. Babe, you're not sad. You just need cookie dough. And it's also top 5 allergen friendly, which is fantastic news. Not that I have allergies to any of those things, but if you do, you can eat it. And y'all, it is just as much fun to say as it is to eat, I promise. And you don't have to eat it raw. You can bake it. It's cookie dough. There are directions on the tub. So if you feel a crash out coming on, skip the bad decisions. Don't do that. Grab the cookie dough instead and use my code SPIRITS20 to get 20% off your purchase. Link is in the show notes to get started on your new snacking obsession. I promise you won't regret it. I've already eaten 4 tubs today. All right, stay safe and stay snacky. Now, while this game was popular on internet forums in the early 2010s, it exploded into global mainstream notoriety because of the real-life tragic mystery of the death of Elisa Lam in 2013. Of course, I'm sure you know this case. It was and still is very controversial for many people due to personal beliefs about what she was doing there and what exactly happened. In the end, it's all tragic. It's all very sad. But if you happen to not know about this, Elisa Lam was a Canadian college student who disappeared while staying at the infamous Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Her body was tragically discovered inside a closed water tank on the hotel's roof, which is already very strange. And then the LAPD also released surveillance footage of her inside the hotel elevator. And in that footage, we saw her acting in a very bizarre manner, almost as though she was hiding from someone or having some kind of like psychological break. So in the footage, and you can look it up, but Lamb is seen pressing a vertical column of multiple buttons at once, stepping in and out of the elevator very frantically, peering down the hallway as if she's looking for or hiding from someone. She's kind of like waving her hands in bizarre, unnatural patterns. And then the elevator doors remain wide open the entire time she's panicking, which is also sort of weird. But that elevator at the Cecil Hotel is known to have issues. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Probably not a great elevator to use to play the elevator game if it's not reliable and functional. But I digress. Now, if you know anything about the Cecil Hotel, you know this was a high rise building with a very, very dark history. So many deaths occurred there, suicides, and then two serial killers actually lived there, Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterwenger. So lots happening there. This is an infamous hotel. It was the inspiration for the hotel season of American Horror Story, which was one of my favorites. So as you can imagine, the internet quickly connected Elisa Lamb's bizarre elevator behavior to the steps of the elevator game. Web sleuths have theorized that she was frantically trying to execute the ritual by, pressing different buttons and trying to get out. But then maybe she panicked when the doors wouldn't close, or some say she was trying to hide from the fifth floor woman. And while her death was officially ruled an accidental drowning, compounded by her mental health struggles, because she was known to be struggling at the time with her mental health, it's still it all cemented the whole elevator game, that theory. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I mean, that case is weird. How did she get up there? You know what? Don't even get me started. Don't get me started on Elisa Lamb because I will not shut up. I'll have a whole fucking PowerPoint. I'll have to cover that story. And I'll also have to cover the Cecil Hotel at some point because it's said to be one of the most haunted locations in California, aside from all the other ones in California. Because California's seen some shit, okay? Now, many of you guys may be asking, well, this game, it has an exit strategy. You can just press a button. So why do people think it's so scary? And I think one of the main reasons is that it basically ruins a safe, mundane space for many people. Good horror will exploit everyday comfort zones. So, elevators, they're cramped, they're mechanical, they require a certain amount of passive trust. You're trapped in a metal box suspended by cables. You are entirely at the mercy of the machine. So, this game takes a claustrophobic space that you use every day and turns it into a trap, essentially. And then there's, isolation and vulnerability because you have to play this game alone. There's no group safety net. If something goes wrong, if the elevator malfunctions, if the lights flicker out, or if the psychological stress and tension causes you to panic, you are trapped in a tiny box, small box, all by yourself with no one to pull you out. And then, I mean, there's the whole other world thing. The description of it is terrifying. According to those who claim to have played this game and gotten out successfully, the dimension that you step into on the 10th floor, the other world, looks exactly like the building you left, but with horrifying differences. So it might look like where you are, but all the lights are dead. You're the only living soul there. If you look out the windows, the sky is pitch black, and the only thing visible in the distance is just a glowing red cross. Don't like it. People also say that your electronics, like your phone, they'll just completely stop working, so you can't call for help, which brings us to the final reason why this is so scary. And that is what happens once you finally see the other world and you want to go home. Because when that happens, you risk getting stuck. So, the scariest mechanical aspect of the game is the return sequence. So, the game's not over once you reach the other world, the 10th floor. The only way to get home is you have to get back into that exact same elevator, same one you used, and perform the entire sequence perfectly in reverse. The lore of this game warns that the other world feels heavily distorted, so it makes the hallway look infinitely long, which can trick your brain. So you don't know which elevator it is. Like you can't find the elevator before it closes, which risks leaving you stranded there forever. Yeah. So count me out, guys. This is for me, it's probably one of the scariest. I know people say the midnight game is scary, and I would agree. Absolutely. These are all horrible, but at least I can protect myself with salt in that game. This one, I'm lucky to remember what I had for breakfast. You want me to do the entire ritual backwards when I'm scared? If I ever played that, I'd be studying the steps like it's a college exam. Well, unless I'm allowed to have the steps written down because I am a visual learner. Are there rules about that? I don't know. Can I write them down? So just not maybe not for me. Like I said though, that game was brought to us by Japanese and South Korean online message boards. And boy, oh boy, do they know how to fuck you up. They get it right every time. Because this next game, number 4, is also a Japanese paranormal ritual, and it is called Daruma-San. So this one is also known as the bath game or the bathtub game. It is a notorious Japanese paranormal ritual game that takes the concepts of hide and seek and red light, green light and stretches them over an entire agonizing 24-hour period by yourself. So while games like the Midnight Game trap you in a house for a few hours, Daruma-san forces you to go about your actual everyday life while a vengeful spirit stalks you from the shadows. Um, no way in hell am I ever playing this game. Do you guys hear me? No way in hell. My bath is my safe space. I love a good bath. I'll get me, my Epsom salts, maybe a good spooky book, light a candle, have a snack, some vino, bada bing, bada boom, relaxation station, baby. But this game is not relaxing in any way. Not at all. But if you are unwell and you want to play this game, there are some steps you have to follow to set it up, okay? So, first is this game, it has to be played at night before you go to bed, and it requires a traditional bathtub. So, I don't know what other kind of bathtubs there are, but you'll need the traditional kind. Sorry. I don't know. So, in step 1, you will need to strip fully, get fully naked because you're taking a bath, and then you turn off all the lights in the house and you fill the bathtub with water. And to be clear, yes, you're just standing there naked in the dark, vulnerable, waiting for this water to fill up. Already a hard pass for me. Step 2 is the incantation. So after the tub fills, you have to sit in the middle of the tub facing the faucet. You then close your eyes and begin washing your hair. And as you scrub a dub dub, you must repeat the phrase, quote, Daruma-san fell down, Daruma-san fell down, over and over without stopping the entire time you wash your hair. And then step 3 brings you to the vision. So as you lather, rinse, and repeat a spooky incantation, you also, just like in your mind's eye, you have to picture a Japanese woman standing in a bathtub, and then you have to picture her slipping and falling headfirst into the faucet, gouging her eye out and dying. I know, it's so relaxing. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you them. So that brings us to step 4, and that is the presence. According to the lore, as you do this, you will feel a sudden icy shift in the room, and the water around you may begin to move. And as it does, a one-eyed ghoul will emerge from the water behind you. But you must keep your eyes completely closed. Close them tight. Do not peek. I don't know why you would want to do that, but just don't. And then next, as you feel this presence, you begin step 5, which is the question. So out loud, with your eyes closed, you must ask, quote, why did you fall in the bathtub? End quote. And finally, you enter step 6, which is the escape. So after you ask that question without waiting for an answer, keeping your eyes tightly shut, you must stand up carefully. One, because the spirit will try to trip you, and also because your eyes are shut, it's dark, and you're all wet, so slipping is probable. Safety first. Then, with your eyes shut, you have to walk out of the bathroom, close the door, and only then can you open your eyes. You must leave the bathwater full until the morning and go directly to sleep after this. No doom scrolling, no late night snacking, just snoozing. Go to sleep. Now, all of this has just set up basically a 24-hour game of tag with an entity. And the true horror begins the next morning when you wake up and the ritual is complete. And now the spirit of Daruma-San is tethered to you for the entire day. So as you go to school or work or run errands, you will constantly feel an intense presence over you, I believe over your right shoulder. Yes, your right shoulder. And if you glance back, you will catch a fleeting, terrifying glimpse of a grotesque one-eyed woman with tangled hair following you. And she will begin to get closer and closer, closing the distance. She is playing a game of tag with you. Every time you look away, she moves closer. If you look at her, she freezes or she disappears. But there is a stop command. So if she gets like dangerously close and you feel just immediate panic, you must look in her direction and shout, "Tamare," which means stop or halt in Japanese. And this will freeze her in place and give you a window of time to run away and put a distance between you. But here's the catch. You can only use that command, "Tamare," a limited number of times. Each time you say it, the duration of her freeze gets shorter and shorter. So I guess she respects boundaries, but like only so many times. Now, I am a competitive girly. Okay. I love a game where there's a clear winner. And normally I'd be all over this shit, but I am actually so good. I'm so good. I'm not going to play this. If I wanted to be haunted by regret, I don't know, read my old Facebook posts or say you too to a server after they tell me to enjoy my meal. I am in a constant state of anxiety and regret, so I don't really need this bitch following me around everywhere for 24 hours. I have an 8-year-old. She does that anyway. This does not sound fun to me. Who is playing this game? Huh. But if you want to know how to win, there is a little fun chopping motion that you can do. Yes, a chopping motion. So in order to win, you must end the game before midnight, or else she will follow you forever and ever and enter your dreams. And then you're fucked. So I highly recommend trying to win, but also just not playing this game at all. Because listen to this, you guys. To win, you have to intentionally let her get close enough so that you can look like directly at her. You have to look her in the eyeballs. Well, eyeball, because she only has one. Sorry. Uh, that wasn't funny. Once you have a clear, solid gaze on her, you must swing your hand down in a sharp vertical chopping motion, like a sword cutting a rope, like a hi-ya. And then you have to shout, "Kita," which means to cut or sever, basically saying, "I cut you loose. Go home, Roger." And if your timing is perfect and your voice is resolute, then the bond is severed and she vanishes for good. But if you miss or you panic during that chop, your chop isn't a good chop, then she catches you. So that is not great news. Guys, this game terrifies me. I don't know if it's the bath component or having to pretend I know karate. It's just so psychologically exhausting. You aren't like trapped in a spooky basement for 30 minutes with your friends. You're out in the broad daylight surrounded by regular people who can't see the monster following you. No, thank you. You're forced to endure an entire day of mounting paranoia, knowing that every time you blink, turn a corner, or look at your phone, a vengeful spirit is just like silently sprinting forward to close the gap. Ew. No. Fuck all of that. It turns the entire real world into a claustrophobic nightmare. So no, thank you. Unsubscribe, unfollowed, unfriended. That is terrifying. I would do a lot of scary shit. Okay, but this is too much for me. And you know what? The next game is just as fucking scary. This one is called the Corner Game, sometimes referred to as the Four Corners Game. Its origins are often tied to East Asia urban legends, specifically from Korean and Japanese ghost lore. Yeah, another one. Guys, I told you, they know what they're doing. So, the lore behind this game relies on the old superstition that ghosts and spirits gather in the dark corners and stagnant angles of empty rooms. And according to the urban legend, this is how you set it up. First, you need the environment. You need an empty, quiet room, and it has to be at night. Every single light in the building must be turned off except for the room you are playing in. So don't turn those off just yet. Then there are the players. Just as the title states, you need exactly 4 people. No more, no less. 4 corners, 4 people. And then there's the initiation. So the 4 players enter the room and close the door, and each player stands in one of the room's 4 corners facing the wall. No one is allowed to look at each other. So once everyone is in position, each player must then state their full name aloud 3 times to register themselves in the space. Then, after everyone has said their full names 3 times and they're facing the corners, the lights in the room are turned off. So, very important that you be, I guess, like within reach of the light switch because you can't look around. At the beginning of the game, you need to assign a designated leader to give a signal like a clap or a count or something once you're all in position. Okay, like a safe word. After the signal is given, you then begin moving clockwise. So every player walks along the wall next to the corner. Because there are 4 players and 4 corners, every corner should always have one person in it during a normal rotation. However, if a player reaches a corner and they find that it's empty, they're supposed to stand there and bump or tap the wall to signal the next movement. According to the legend, if you repeat this rotation enough times in total darkness, which is the point, the spiritual energy in the room shifts into a liminal space. And that is when the 5th player enters the chat. When you go around enough times to shift the room into that liminal space, eventually a player will walk to a corner and realize someone is already standing there. But it isn't one of the 3 friends. This is an extra entity, the quote, 5th player, and it has manifested out of the ceiling or the shadows or your nightmares to join the rotation. And this is when you risk the disappearance. So if this ritual goes wrong in any way, a corner might suddenly stay empty, which means one of your friends completely vanishes from the room. They disappear. They are trapped in another dimension. And the worst part is the rule of sight. You are strictly forbidden from looking back at the other players or turning your head during the game. If you look directly at the entity that has entered this game, severe harm or possession is supposed to follow. So I don't like that. I don't think I'll be playing this game either. Now, of course, like the other liminal space games, there is a way to end it. So there's like the emergency protocol, so to speak. If players sense that there is an extra presence, 5th player, or if a friend does disappear, they must immediately trigger this safety protocol. So the player who realizes something is wrong has to either shout a specific phrase or signal for everyone to stop moving immediately. So this must be established before the game starts. Now, once this word is shouted or thing is signaled, everyone must freeze, keeping their eyes glued to the wall, and the nearest person must blindly reach for the light switch and turn the light back on. Once the lights are on, if a player is still missing, you must immediately speak their name backward. Their whole name, guys, first, middle, last, junior, whatever it may be. So I'd practice that maybe for everybody. Or if you can't do that, you can call out to them until they reappear in the room. Just like repeatedly call their name. So, I mean, this is another one where your fate really depends on the people around you. You better have good friends or family that you're doing this with. Trust them with your whole fucking life. Guys, I will not be playing any games where a friend of mine or a loved one may disappear into the further forever. Not doing that. I will leave that to the movies. So, those, my spooky little freaks, are 5 of some of the most infamous cursed games to never play because they are the Regina George of games. They will ruin your life. They're life ruiners. Don't play them. But if you do and you survive, tell me about it. Just don't blame me if something goes wrong because I told you to not play these damn games. Okay. Me personally, I'll probably just stick with board games. Maybe a card game. Uno is fun. I mean, Uno and Monopoly have ruined enough friendships without summoning anything other than my competitive spirit. But if you like playing dangerous games that could leave you or your friends abandoned in another realm or ripped to shreds by the Midnight Man, I want to hear from you. I want to know all the details. Which game did you play? Where were you? Did something weird happen? Did you pee your pants? Because I would. Let me know. Be sure to send in your stories for this month's Booze Clues. That episode will drop next Friday. So still time. Get those stories in, especially if it's about a curse game. I mean, it doesn't have to be about one of those specifically. It could be any of them. It could be Bloody Mary, Charlie Charlie. I'll love it no matter what because it's from you, listener, and I love you. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Don't let creepy one-eyed bathtub demons ruin your day or your life. Honestly, just avoid haunted bathtub games altogether, and you'll probably be fine. And as always, remember to trust your lizard brain. Until next time, goodbye.